What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode here on the Fantasy Fellowship channel. My name is Kyle. In this video, it's Sunday afternoon as I record this. We're getting ready for the week 20 of the fantasy basketball season. I have a bunch of waiver wire pickups for you guys to consider this week, and I just want to shout out, if you guys watched last week's video, you probably picked up Cam Johnson. So good news for you. And you guys know how we do it. If you watched the show before, I'd like to kind of do a couple simple filters when I'm looking for my players. I hit the plus minus button, and Cameron Johnson is the #1 pickup so far over the last 7 days. But we covered him last week, so hopefully you guys were on schedule with him. We have a new guy that we're looking at this week that's probably going to be a little bit higher, I think, for the next week's show. But before we get into some of the names and some of the players for this week's show, I want to shout out the links in the description. But this is #basketball.com. It's their advanced NBA schedule grid, and this is a really useful tool. Basically, we want to know how many games each team is playing this week, and from the most part, it looks like the majority of teams are playing 4 games, so we have a really busy NBA schedule week, but there are a few teams that only have 3 games, so be careful with some of these teams, maybe load up teams that have games in the back. But I just want to kind of shout out, there were some teams that I thought looked really good, and I get nervous about teams with back-to-backs. So I'm more interested in teams that have, a space in between each game. So the Hawks and the Mavericks here, you see they play Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. So that's an interesting add for me. A team like the Los Angeles Lakers, they get Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Just interesting. So go about looking at the #basketball website, try and find, good lineups. And it just helps visualize what you need to set your lineup for the week. But let's get into it. The top pickup of the week, Cameron Johnson, had that game-winning bucket the other night, 38 points against the New York Knicks. The fantasy numbers have been insane. Basically, since Chris Paul got hurt, he has been a beast. So we have 5 games since the All-Star break here, a 44, a 32, a 35, a 22, and a 35. Just massive numbers. And the biggest thing that he's changed is his scoring. If you actually look at his season stats compared to his last 7-day stats, his minutes are only up about 3 minutes, but his scoring, he's averaging 27 points per game. His rebounds have gone down. Assists have doubled. Steals and blocks about the same. So not too much has changed. He's just getting more shots with no Chris Paul on the floor. Jay Crowder, another player here who's benefiting with no Chris Paul. He is averaging 23 points per game over the last 7 days. So nothing major, but just pretty steady. You look at his numbers, again, since the All-Star break, just really steady numbers here. I think the 24th, yeah. So you see a 39, a 25, a 28, a 40, a 28, and a 24. So really healthy numbers here. And actually, let me filter. By the last 7 days, Jay Crowder averaging 32.6 fantasy points per game. Very strong numbers there. A lot of people getting excited about Michael Porter Jr. His roster ships up to 54.8%. Sounds like we're going to see him at some point in the month of March here, so get ready for him. Trey Mann, a guy that we covered last week as well, starting to cool down a little bit. His last 3 games, not as high scoring, but he's still a guy that I think in 10 and 12-man leagues you want to have rostered. He did have that nice little scoring stretch here. And a lot of this has to do with SGA being back. That's kind of cooled down some things for Trey Mann. But overall here, he is still the 4th most added player of the week. 9.3% rostered. So if you need someone, take a peek at Trey Mann. Jalen Green, now he's 68.8% rostered. I'm not sure he's going to be available in most leagues, so we'll skip him. And then I want to get to some of my favorite guys to pick up this week, and that's one guy that I picked up in Isaiah Roby, who his last 7 games, he's averaging 37.8 points per game, or I guess his last 7 days, and that's in big thanks to these 2 monster games against Minnesota and Denver. You see a 21, 10, 1, 3 game here, 40.5 fantasy points. And then against Denver, 26 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. He's a 5-category player in 2 of these games here. So he's a really interesting guy. 53 of 40. I'll see if this continues. But you look at his output since he started playing. Basically, he got his minutes back on the 12th here of February. But a 30, a 17, a 47, a 16, a 27, a 19. I think you just kind of take the lumps with the bad, and hopefully, at least once or twice a week, he's going to deliver you a 40-point game, and you just kind of roll with that. But the Thunder, a young team here, he's going to continue to get some minutes, and he's only 10% rostered, guys, so he's a hot ad right now. Markelle Fultz, I don't love him as an ad. He's only averaging 17 points per game since his return. I don't know if we need him for fantasy other than in really, really deep formats. But what's up with DeMarcus Cousins? Coming out the other night here, he started for the Jokic was sick. So Cousins gets the start, 31 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. Really, really nice numbers for fantasy. And you look at his last 4 games, he's a 5-category player, steals and blocks included, just everything's there. You look at the floors here, 15 and 14 minutes, but he's still producing a lot of fantasy points. So even when Jokic returns from his health, DeMarcus Cousins need to be rostered. It looks like he's found himself a nice little home here in Denver. But I want to talk about a couple of my favorite pickups for this week, and that's the cover guy of the video, Jaylen Smith. Now, he was a trade. He was acquired back on February 10th, and it looks like ever since that trade, he's seen more and more workload here with the Pacers. And his points 17, 36, 20, 20, 28, 28, 18, 37, and 28. So basically just really super steady. You look at his points here, over double digits in 5 straight games, double-digit rebounds in 3 out of 5 games here. Not too many assists, steals, or blocks, but I really like the combination of points and rebounds here. And with the Pacers, they're struggling to have they're struggling to replace Sabonis with just one player. They're using a conglomerate of Jalen Smith, O'Shea Brissett, and Isaiah Jackson. So it's kind of like a 3-man thing at the power forward center position for these guys. And Jalen Smith, the guy that they acquired, and they're using him a lot more than Phoenix used him. So it looks really, really good here for Jalen Smith. He's averaging, again, over the last 7 days, he's averaging 28 points per game. So 10-man leagues, 12-man leagues, he's a must-add. One of my favorite players to pick up for this week. And then we're going to get to one of my other ones here. And this one's really interesting because me in both of my fantasy leagues that I have interest in this year, I had Derek White rostered. And ever since the Derek White trade, Lonnie Walker has been the biggest, he's seen the biggest uptick in minutes and everything from that trade. So he's with the Spurs. He's only 8% rostered. On the season, he's averaging 19.7 fantasy points per game. But over the last 7 days, he's averaging about 25 points per game. So I'm not sure what happened in this game. 18 minutes and only 5 points. We'll look at that later. But before that, he had been on a nice run here from the 14th of February all the way to the 3rd here of March. You see 37, 29, 24, 25, 27, and 33 fantasy points. So his minutes are up significantly, his points up significantly. And then I like that he's going to get rebounds, assists. So he's for sure a 3-category player. And then it just depends if he gets that steal or whatever. But what happened in Charlotte here? I'm just intrigued here. Looks like this was a close game. Trying to think here. They did come off the bench with him. And it looks like Devin Vassell's still getting the start here. But Lonnie Walker had been the main guy coming off the bench. It looks like Joshua Primo got some runs. So something to watch there, I suppose. But I do like Lonnie Walker quite a bit here. Someone that you want to be interested in for sure. And again, I think the Spurs have a 4-game schedule this week. So double check that. Let's get to Chuma Okiki, one of the best players that you can add that's widely available in most leagues. 12% rostered, but over the last 7 games, averaging like 26 fantasy points per game, just super steady. His minutes, kind of starting to peak here at 34 and 30. The rebounds, the points, the assists, steals, usually a 4 to 5 category player. So a lot of fun here for Chuma Okiki. And let me see if I can throw out any more names for you guys. I guess the last one, Cameron Payne. We covered Cameron Payne a couple weeks ago, but so far 25 points, 41 points, and 34 points in his 3 games returning from his wrist injury. And then I'm going to shout out Terrence Mann for the Clippers, 23% rostered. And then another one here, Dorian Finney-Smith, playing really, really well over the last month or so, starting to pick up. But he is a guy that's only 20% rostered. He's a starter for the Dallas Mavericks, a guy that plays a ton of minutes, and he usually gets 4 to 5 categories worth of stats. So he, over the last 7 days, is averaging 30 fantasy points per game. Just a lot of good numbers here. But I think that's going to do it for this video. I'm sure I missed a bunch of players here that you guys were probably looking at. So if you have anyone to add, please let me know in the comments. And I don't know. Thank you. Go check your waiver wires, and we'll see you guys in a future video. Peace.